Hello friends, this is Fox Nival Studios. Today we are here with new chapter What if Naruto was the Werid Saiyaan. Before starting story, please subscribe our channel. Now let's start the chapter Death. It wasn't all that final, nor was it all that special. I'm telling you, yeah, my mom and dad were pretty amazing, but Kurama hurt me more than helped me. My chakra control was trash, and having amazing parents doesn't mean anything when they aren't around to teach you shit. Yeah. But it isn't like I can help the fact key techniques come naturally to Saiyans, and the whole Zenkai boost stopped helping me when I got stronger. What are these two arguing about? Ichigo Kurosaki asked as he sat down next to Luffy D. Monkey, both of them as he raised a hand to order a bowl of ramen. All of them were dead. The cross-universal shop for dead consumers. Goku is saying he would have loved to have trained as a ninja, and Naruto is saying that being a Saiyan is like starting your training off on easy mode. Luffy stated as he spoke about the two people who were arguing while they ate. The strongest two of the four of them, one of which had the hardest life and lived in the most fucked up world, and one who had a decently happy life that he made harder for himself. Goku raised his hands. Okay. Maybe Zenkai boosts helped a lot when I was starting out, and maybe it was nice that being a Saiyan made learning ki super easy. But you have to admit, Kurama sure helped you a lot early on. Goku made a somewhat decent argument, while still admitting that there were some things about being a Saiyan that made getting strong easy for him. Naruto rolled his eyes. Oh yes. And how many times was it because I was a Jinchuriki that Kurama had to help? Every time with Akatsuki was only because of him. It was a genuine struggle to use Kurama's chakra most of them time, and not killing everyone around me. Goku. You get your ass kicked, and genetically just come back stronger, after eating magic beans. Point taken. You see. This has been back and forth a lot, Luffy stated, since he was just enjoying the food in the afterlife. AHA. You were given 6-path sage mode. You were gifted your god form. So were you. You only got Super Saiyan God because you wished on a magic dragon to learn how to do it, and you needed more Saiyans to give you the power. I still trained with it, just like how you trained with God to turn blue. Dumb name for a transformation by the way. Naruto stated with a total deadpan towards Goku. It was better than Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. And I don't think you should be lecturing anyone about names. Mr. Ultra Big Ball. Goku teased Naruto. Oh yeah. And how many times did you fail to save your planet? You destroyed your own universe. You did what? Ichigo asked Naruto, having this been the first time he heard about that at all. He didn't know that Naruto was the reason why his universe had gotten destroyed, afterlife and all. Naruto turned bright red and looked away from everyone. Even Luffy was sending him a look that showed he could hardly believe what he heard. What? Yeah, this guy's chakra was so massive, not only was it the reason why Momoshiki tracked him down in his dimension, but his chakra was expanding his own universe and ripping holes in not only space and time, but also tearing holes in the afterlife. Goku revealed the secret. This dude's existence ended up destroying his entire universe. You want to talk about bullshit potential and complaints? This guy became so strong he didn't even realize he was the reason he destroyed his universe. Goku gave Naruto a smirk and nudged his side. Source. Boruto the movie light novel. Yes, Naruto's chakra and existence will one day destroy his entire universe, space, time, and the afterlife, in his base form. The universe was already in the process of being destroyed by the time Momoshiki showed up, which kind of sucks. Naruto was still bright red in the face. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know about that? If anyone had told me about it, I would have had my power sealed away. It was already hard enough holding back so my attacks didn't always destroy my surroundings. You were lucky Goku. You never had to worry about that. Naruto lamented his own suffering there. Goku sent Naruto a peace sign. Yeah, Dragon Balls are pretty amazing like that. I'll admit, I wasn't always the best at saving the day, and sometimes I failed. But the Dragon Balls were always there when I needed them. Goku laughed off his own failings, since feeling bad about the past wouldn't do him any good. Dying a couple of times hurt though. Goku admitted, since he had died his fair share of times. It always hurt, but what was more annoying was that it hurt. And then he would get revived eventually. Though, since he died of old age, he could no longer be revived by the Dragon Balls, since his death was one of natural causes. I don't know. Still sounds like if Goku had been born a ninja and become Kyuubi Jinchuriki, he would have succeeded. Why are you encouraging this? Ichigo glared at Luffy, who was just trying to start something at this point. Are you trying to start something? Start something? Ah. What? Naruto and Goku questioned. We're just arguing between buddies, no reason to think we're going to get hostile about it. I still have nothing but respect for this idiot. Naruto punched Goku in the arm. His skills in martial arts are pretty amazing still, and sparring with him is super fun. Naruto didn't see why people always thought they would be at each other's throats. Goku wrapped an arm around Naruto's shoulder. Yeah, and if you want somebody dead. This man has a way to kill everyone, and when it comes to fighting, I don't think you could find somebody trickier or smarter. His ability to use clones, surprise attacks, and those deadly senjutsu attacks. Every spar with him just makes me into a much better fighter. Heck, he is like my perfect sparring partner. Goku didn't see why every person who joined the Afterlife thought they would be enemies. What? Ichigo was just confused. Yeah, his Ultra Instinct. Just damn amazing. I love it. The way he can react to attacks at the last second. Just like my Sage Mode instant reflexes. Naruto complimented Goku. Goku laughed. Oh, don't act UI helps that much. When you throw those natural energy punches, I can't even sense them. Not even my Ultra Instinct lets me dodge things I can't even sense. Also, I got a complaint about that. Can you stop punching me in the lungs? It really knocks the wind out of me. Goku didn't mind sparring under those conditions. I feel so lost. Ichigo didn't know what he was missing. When Naruto is using senjutsu, he can ignore his opponent's durability completely and attack inside their bodies. Basically, even if you could survive a planet being dropped on you, he can kill you just by attacking your organs directly. And make them explode. Luffy had listened to Naruto and Goku talking about sparring and training with each other in the afterlife enough to know how their techniques worked. Naruto crossed his arms. Okay, I'll stop punching your organs, but I get to use the Rasen Shuriken. What? No way, I like having all my limbs attached. And not paralyzed. Goku's eyes went wide at that suggestion. The Rasen Shuriken, oh. Trust me, I already know about this one. It cuts things at the molecular level, so it can cut through pretty much anything. And if you get hit by the ball, say goodbye to your ability to move. Ichigo had seen that one in action when he came across Naruto training, in the afterlife, and had asked about it. See. It's just not fair. We have rules. No killing. And that technique is 100% made for killing people. Sure, you can dodge it. But if you get hit by that thing, you lose. Techniques like that just aren't fair. Instant death, and instant win techniques are just like cheating. Goku loved his strong his sparring partner was. But the amount of instant death techniques that Naruto had at his disposal just really made the point to him. Naruto was just like hit to him. If Naruto wanted you dead, you were going to die, because his death techniques were like some video games. They were rated E for everyone. Oh, don't act like you're not a cheater too. Or is the fusion dance not completely cheating? Yeah. Also, I am never fusing with you again. Talk about freaky. Naruto had been curious about that, and he tried it with Goku. And he never wanted to fuse again. Also, the spirit bomb. Enough said. Naruto raised his hands.
Goku paused. Quote. But is the spirit bomb really? Goku stopped. Before he laughed. Okay. Maybe it is cheating a little, but I only used it in dire situations.
How many times has the spirit bomb actually beaten the enemy? I mean, it only worked. Goku could only think of a single time when the attack actually beat the person he used it against. Like, the spirit bomb is your most amazing technique, but it never actually works. It never seems to deal fatal damage to anyone you fight against, and it almost failed against Buu. Naruto remembered hearing that story from Goku. Almost? Ichigo questioned Goku. Dragon Balls. Naruto, Goku, and Luffy responded. Yeah, the Namekians used the Dragon Balls to restore my energy, so I could finish off Buu. Kid Buu might not have been as strong as Super Buu. But he was just so unpredictable, and he was still stronger than I was at the time. Without the Dragon Balls, I would have lost. That isn't as bad as what this guy did though. Goku nudged Naruto, who looked away. What did he do? Nothing. This guy lost against an enemy way weaker than he was. An enemy who was bluffing against him. Also, Naruto has a horrible habit of holding back his strongest techniques if his allies are nearby. If Naruto has any allies nearby, he gets severely limited. You can be weaker than Naruto, and still beat him if you know his weaknesses. Holding back so you don't hurt your comrades is not a weakness though, yeah. It might get me killed, but as long as I take the enemy down with me, that's fine. I don't have a choice but to hold back. Death is kind of permanent. Edo Tensei and Rinnegan-style rebirth. Goku countered. Okay, those exist. But being brought back by the Edo Tensei isn't really the same thing as living. The techniques to bring people back to life in my world usually cost the user their life in exchange. But if I had the Dragon Balls in my universe that you destroyed, Luffy commented. The only reason we can even talk like this is because my universe was destroyed. And you wouldn't be eating this ramen without that. Naruto deadpanned. Anyway. As I was saying, if I could go all out without worrying about civilians and stuff, I wouldn't hold back. If reviving people was as easy as making a wish, then I wouldn't be afraid of getting people caught in the crossfire. Naruto had a good reason for always holding himself back. By the way, I'm in the middle of inventing a new technique, might helping me out? Goku asked Naruto. Naruto was interested. What does, yeah, it's too bad we'll never know what Goku would have been like as a Jinchuriki ninja, or Naruto would have been like as a low-class Saiyan. Luffy looked between Naruto and Goku, speaking up and bringing them back to his earlier topic. He slurped up his noodles, and he looked between the two warriors, waiting to start the argument between them again. I mean, why not try it? I'm sure there is some way to make it happen. I'm pretty sure that there is some way for you two to see. Skew. Naruto and Goku groaned. Is it worth it though? Going to that guy and asking for a favor? Naruto asked Goku, who crossed his arms and thought about it. It sounds super interesting though. Like super interesting. Let's try it out. We can go to Skew, and we can ask him a favor. Goku didn't like the idea of asking the favor, but he was too curious. Seems fun, right? Sure. But we need to be very specific about how we ask. Otherwise he will twist the favor. I, Goku, would like to reincarnate into a universe where Naruto was not born, and become the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. With my memories of who I was. How does that sound? Goku asked Naruto, who frowned. And when I die for good, I want to come back here. Naruto added that on to what Goku was saying. Yeah. That seems like good wording. Naruto stood up and stretched himself out. I want the opposite. I would like to be reborn as a low-class Saiyan warrior in a universe with no Goku, and when I die for good, bring me back here. Seems okay to me. Goku sent Naruto a thumbs up. They shook hands, before getting up and leaving. Why do you always start stuff between them? Ichigo asked Luffy. Because they are like the best rivals, watching them spar is super fun. When they argue, it's fun to listen to, and when they spar, they both seem to have a ton of fun. Naruto has been super depressed since his universe went poof. I can't wait for them to both get back and tell me what things went down. Luffy just wanted interesting stories to listen to. He was sure he was about to get them. Freaking. I look like Menma. Freaking no way. Black hair replaced his good old golden blonde hair, though thankfully the appearance changes to his body and looks were kept to a minimum. His blonde hair became a Saiyan black, and his skin was slightly lighter than in his past life. It amounted to most of the changes were cosmetic at most. Though he now had a monkey tail. He was 7 years old. The memories he gained from his old life didn't just carry over right away, the memories had to wait until his brain could handle the information. At least flying isn't too hard. Naruto was thankful that the key mechanics behind flight were so simple to learn. Since he no longer had chakra, only ki, his experience with chakra didn't matter anymore. On the bright side, Saiyan had a natural mastery over their ki, which was ingrained in his DNA at the moment. He flew over the water, seeing his own reflection, and he found himself not impressed with himself. The monkey tail looked dumb to him. If he had to have a tail, couldn't he just have a foxtail or something? But he would deal with it. He also had to deal with the fact that since he had knowledge of Goku's life, he knew some expected outcomes for it. He also knew that he could prevent some tragic things from happening early on, which could allow him to save Dragon Ball wishes for things much later on. Since the dragon couldn't make the same wish multiple times at the moment, Naruto wanted to save the mass respawn wishes for the future. -2 years later, okay. Collected them all. This crap is hard without a Dragon Ball radar. Naruto had the 7 balls gathered together. Naruto took a very heavy iron wire, and wrapped it around each of the Dragon Balls. He wasn't doing this again if he could help it. He tied the Dragon Balls up tight, because he knew of their nasty little habit of dispersing after a wish was made. Naruto placed a finger to his forehead and thought very carefully, because he was only going to get one chance to word his wish perfectly. He was 9 years old, so he only had about 3 years before people started to really look for the Dragon Balls and set forth huge events. Oh crap. I just realized. Is Goku going to be alright? If I was born to his parents, and he was born to mine, does that mean? Better not think about it. I'm sure Goku will be fine. Naruto didn't want to think about if Goku got really bad luck and was killed on his birthday. That was just be horrible luck, but entirely possible. He was worried about his friend, but he also hoped that it was possible one of his parents survived in the timeline where Goku was their child. Right. Don't think about it. He had a wish to make. Eternal Dragon, by your name, I summon you forth. Shenron. Naruto proclaimed the password to the Dragon Balls, and instantly the sky darkened. The Dragon Balls all glowed bright several times, before golden magic power burst out of them, shooting up into the sky. Like lightning, the dragon was starting to form inside of the magic. Green. Big, green, with giant red eyes. Who has summoned the Eternal Dragon? Me. Then state your wish, for it will come true. Shenron was a no-nonsense kind of guy, who wanted to be summoned, grant his wish, and then be sent away just like that. For a magical wish-granting dragon, the attitude that the dragon had just radiated off of him. I wish for planet Vegeta to be restored back to its former glory. Naruto proclaimed to the dragon, without any hesitation. Shenron's eyes glowed. Your wish has been granted. Shenron stated, before his body turned to gold. He turned back into magic, and there was a huge flash of light. The Dragon Balls themselves started to rise up into the sky, and it was at this point Naruto gulped. Would it work? The Dragon Balls all tried to fly off in different directions, and the metal rope holding them together was pulled tight. Naruto floated up into the air, before he flew towards where the Dragon Balls were trying to fly away from each other. He saw the metal rope was holding, but it was barely holding on. The Dragon Balls continued to try and break fly, before they all turned to stone and fell back down towards the ground. It worked. But, oof, I better get a sturdier rope. Naruto saw that despite the rope being made of metal, it had nearly ripped apart. If he tried it again with the same rope, it wouldn't stop the Dragon Balls from flying off in different directions at all. -1 year later, better rope, and 2 layers of it. Eternal Dragon, by your name, I summon you forth. Shenron. Naruto proclaimed the password to the Dragon Balls, and instantly the sky darkened. The Dragon Balls all glowed bright several times, before golden magic power burst out of them, shooting up into the sky. Like lightning, the dragon was starting to form inside of the magic. Again. The exact same way. Who has summoned the Eternal Dragon? Shenron saw the same person as last time, but only paused for a moment. State your wish, for it will be granted. Shenron might have paused because of Naruto being the same person as before, but he continued with his duty either way. My wish, Shenron, is for the most pure-hearted Saiyan who died on planet Vegeta to be revived. Naruto called out his wish. It didn't matter who it was, they just had to be the most pure-hearted Saiyan on the planet. He had an inherent problem, in that he could train as much as he wanted. But he had an issue with ascending to the next level without knowing something. Something that could be more easily achieved by a pure-hearted Saiyan who would experience great rage. Your wish has been granted. Shenron had no clue what to make of that oddly specific wish, and he had never had anyone wish for those conditions before either. The dragon stared at Naruto for another moment, before glowing. He vanished. -1 year later, Eternal Dragon, by your name, I summon you forth. Shenron. Naruto proclaimed the password to the Dragon Balls, and instantly the sky darkened. The Dragon Balls all glowed bright several times, before golden magic power burst out of them, shooting up into the sky. Like lightning, the dragon was starting to form inside of the magic. A third time. Naruto was 11 years old now as he watched the wish dragon appear once more. Who? State your wish, for it will be granted. Shenron didn't introduce himself at all this time when he saw the same person as before summoning him. The dragon was given a much greater pause as he honestly looked at Naruto this time. How many times did this kid gather his balls? I wish that the pure-hearted Saiyan you revived last year, to be teleported to Earth. Naruto stated his wish. Your wish has been granted. Where are they? Naruto asked as he looked around, expecting to see a Saiyan somewhere nearby. I brought them to Earth. You did not say to bring them here, Shenron stated, before he vanished like magic once more. Naruto's jaw dropped at how that bit him in the ass quickly. -1 year later, welp, he couldn't find the Saiyan by sensing them, meaning they were on the weak side. In a year of searching, he couldn't find them. But on the bright side, the Dragon Balls were active once more. Eternal Dragon, by your name, I summon you forth, Shenron. Naruto proclaimed the password to the Dragon Balls, and instantly the sky darkened. The Dragon Balls all glowed bright several times, before golden magic power burst out of them, shooting up into the sky. Like lightning, the dragon was starting to form inside of the magic. Hello Naruto. What do you want this time? Okay, the Saiyan you teleported last time. I'm going to need you to teleport them. Here, as in, right here. Oh. You learned your lesson then. Shenron taunted slightly as his eyes glowed red, and he heard the sound of somebody being teleported. Will I see you next year? Shenron asked Naruto as he started to glow, getting ready to disappear once more. Maybe. Of course. Heheheha. Naruto laughed to himself. Laughed loudly when he heard how annoyed the dragon sounded as he vanished. What? What happened? Naruto turned around and faced the Saiyan woman by just the voice. She had super messy hair, though she kept the length okay. She was on the skinny side for a Saiyan, wore Saiyan battle armor with her tail wagging about freely, instead of around her waist. She seemed extremely confused, and she was looking up at the sky. To her, she must have never seen a dragon, and then to see it disappear was even stranger. 2 years ago, I asked the dragon, Shenron, to bring the most pure-hearted Saiyan back to life. And a year ago I asked him to bring you to this planet. And even after a year of non-stop searching, I ended up asking the dragon to bring you here. Nora's? Naruto, actually. I go by the name Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto heard the word Nori in there, so he would guess that whoever this woman was, she knew whatever his Saiyan name was. She had tears at the corners of her eyes, which was not surprising. Her last memories before she was brought back from the dead would have been, well, her death. Nori was a type of sea vegetable that had a very fishy taste to it, which was funny because it was very similar to Narutomaki. Which is what his name was based on anyway. Either way, he was named after a ramen ingredient. Nora's. Nora's, is that you? Is that I? The woman was looking at him with tears in her eyes, now freely falling down her cheeks. She looked at his hair, and she looked at his whisker birthmarks, they were part of his soul at this point. She looked at the Saiyan tail that he allowed to wag freely behind him. She wrapped her arms around him, pulling him into a tight hug. Nora's. Naruto. My name is Naruto. And who are you? Naruto slipped out of her hug and stepped back. She wiped her tears. Of course. Naruto. If you want me to call you that name, then I will. As for who I am, I'm your mother. I am Gine. Ah. Naruto couldn't believe his weird luck. His plan was to get the most pure-hearted Saiyan to train with him, somebody who had the potential to achieve Super Saiyan through great rage and a bit of dragon. He could hardly believe that the most pure-hearted Saiyan of them all was this woman. What weird luck. Naruto. You survived. And what are you wearing? Gine asked when she noticed that Naruto was just wearing a blue training gi, with an orange cloth around his waist. That isn't the armor you. Never mind. I'm just so happy to see you again. Gine couldn't help but wipe her tears, crying from sheer happiness. Naruto felt something new. It was a type of joy that he wasn't familiar with, in his old life or his new life. He choked up a little in his throat. Goku. I pray to whoever is listening. I pray that you get to experience this too. I hope that my original mother survived somehow. I hope she survived, and you get to have a mother too. Naruto didn't want to be the only one to experience having a living mother. Geez, my plan was to just have somebody to help me learn how to transform into a Super Saiyan. But now I feel bad since it was her. Naruto didn't fight it when she hugged him. She cried while holding him. Wow. She was really happy. Just curious. Did you go to heaven or hell when you died? Naruto had to ask, since he wanted to know where the most pure-hearted Saiyan went. Okay, so I'm not going to wish back any other Saiyans back. Naruto decided that if even the most pure-hearted Saiyan did things bad enough to send her to hell, then maybe it wouldn't be a good idea to have other Saiyans brought back. As far as he knew, the only other Saiyans alive were Broly, Vegeta, Nappa, Paragus, Raditz, and Tarbell. And yes, he was listing them by sorting them via their current fighting strength. How did he know those names? I'm so happy. We can be a family. Gine was still crying tears of joy. Tonight, I'm making my homemade meat dish. You need meat to grow bigger. Gine had so much she wanted to ask him about. Naruto just laughed a little. He hoped she was a good cook. Kami, the guardian of Earth, was kind of confused. He had been for the last few years, since the Dragon Balls had been used multiple times, but no huge wishes that affected anyone were made. A foreign world was revived. The most pure-hearted person on that planet was revived. And then after that point the next 2 wishes were just to bring that pure-hearted person to Earth. And after that to bring them to that particular location. He had watched over the boy who was cheating by not allowing the Dragon Balls to separate from each other. The boy was very pure-hearted from what he could sense. He flew around, didn't cause any real trouble, helped people out where he found them. He saved a few villages from the Red Ribbon Army, and would attack their bases. But that was about the extent of the violence he did. Though, that most amounted to him flying over the Red Ribbon Army bases and blowing them up from the outside with his ki. He was now standing in front of him. How did he know where the lookout was? Hello Kami, it's nice to finally meet you. Naruto bowed politely to him, before he stood up casually and looked around. He had a bag slung over his shoulder. A bag that contained the Dragon Balls inside. The Dragon Balls that he had kept with himself for years at this point, and the second they could be used to make a wish, he would use that wish. Can I keep these here? Most people looking to use these wouldn't be able to come here for them. Except one person. Naruto could name one person who was going to be looking for them. She also had the means to get to this location. Uzumaki Naruto. What brings you here? I'm here to get stronger, so that when the Demon King Piccolo gets revived, I can defeat him. And become strong enough to protect Earth from invaders. Naruto was upfront with his desire. He was pretty sure that he was strong enough to beat Demon King Piccolo as he was at the moment, but his solo training didn't yield the results he wanted. Naruto looked at Gine, who was just marveling at the lookout. Kami was very observant, but he was still shocked that a mere boy could have that knowledge. The Demon King Piccolo will be free somewhat soon. I was born with the mystic power to see the future. In several years, a threat far greater to Piccolo will arrive on Earth. And many threats will follow. Naruto lied through his teeth. He couldn't see the future, but he had a general outline of things that his actions weren't going to stop. Raditz would eventually show up to collect him, regardless of any actions he took on Earth, so he needed to be ready for that. After that, Vegeta and Nappa would show up, and that would be bad as well. That sounds horrible. Gine hadn't heard of this. Oh. You can see the future? Gine didn't know her child had that ability. I can see time as a general outline. But the more things I change, the more that outline changes. Some things stay the same regardless of what I do. I want to assemble a team of strong fighters to deal with threats. Naruto explained to his mother, and he looked at Kami, who stood with his back straight, and he examined Naruto with a very keen eye. There was a tension in the air. This boy, he is lying. But also telling the truth. His knowledge of the future doesn't seem to come from sight. But he does know danger is on the way. And he seems to genuinely want to help. Kami could tell that something was off. But at the same time all of Naruto's wishes had been pretty specific, as if he was using the wishes for the purpose of preparing for something big. He and Naruto made long, unblinking eye contact. You wish me to train you? Nope. I just want to borrow the hyperbolic time chamber for a day. And I want to save the second day for the future. With her as my partner for training, I think I can make the most out of a year. Naruto knew that when Goku trained with Kami, he used the time chamber for 1 month of time chamber time, but couldn't last much longer than that. He also knew that you were limited to only using it for a total of 2 Earth days at this point in time, and going over that amount meant being trapped in the chamber. If he wanted to be more exact, he could bring the Dragon Balls with him into the time chamber and go for as long as he wanted. Then when he got trapped, he could just use a wish to wish himself and Gine out of the time chamber. At the same time, he didn't want to do that because that meant if he ever went into the chamber again, he would be trapped. So he would just settle for using a year to gain a lot of base strength quickly. We're going to train for a year. In a day. Gine hadn't been informed of everything, but what was being said made no sense to her. I don't know if I'll be much help. I'm not that strong, my power level isn't even higher than 300. And Gine saw Naruto looking at her. I need a training partner, and I want to train with you, Mom. I'll do my best though. Gine puffed up with happiness. She was gentle, and wasn't all that great of a fighter. Among all of the Saiyan warriors, she was among the lowest of them. A low-class warrior even weaker than her late husband, who was also a low-class but gifted warrior. And even her mid-class eldest son could blow her out of the water by the time he was being sent out on missions. If Naruto wanted to train with her though, she would be happy to at least be his partner for it. You just wish to use the time chamber. That is it. Kemi questioned how he even knew about it, but it gave some credibility to his knowledge of the future if he knew things he shouldn't know about. Naruto sent Kami a thumbs up and a grin, since all he needed was his initial boost in strength to get things going. Just so you know, the atmosphere in there is only 25% of what it is out here. And the gravity is slightly heavier. I'm counting on it. Naruto wanted the best training that he could get. Before I go in there, can I get some really heavy weighted clothes? Naruto asked, since he did want something that would help speed up the training even more. Weighted clothes would be just the thing when gravity was slightly heavier, and even better for when he wanted to get the most out of the time chamber. Kami pointed a finger at Naruto. He then shot a magic beam at Naruto, before more clothes appeared on his body. A heavy weighted shirt appeared under his gi, heavy weighted boots, and heavy weighted wristbands all appeared on his body. I'm okay with these. But can I get some weighted boots and wristbands? Gine was going to have to get stronger if she wanted to be a good training partner. Kami zapped her with his magical clothing beam, and she felt her boots and wrist covers were both replaced with clothes that made it hard for her to walk comfortably. Kami looked at them, still able to move, but slower. He nodded his head. I sense no dark intentions from either of them, so there seems to be no harm in allowing them to borrow the chamber. Kami started to walk, with the Saiyans following after him. This place is beautiful. Gine looked at the lookout, and it looked much better than any building she had seen on her home planet. Not to mention it floated in the air via some kind of magic. She hadn't even gone to a lot of planets when she was a soldier that had buildings as pretty as the one she was on. But now do all of these square tiles make a circle? Gine looked at the tiles she was standing on. Stone cutting. The stones at the edge get cut to make a circle. Not all of the tiles here actually are square is the answer. Is this the chamber? Naruto asked Kami when he stopped in front of a door. Yes. But be warned. The further you get away from the living area, the more extreme the training will feel. Extreme hots and colds, little air. It will fluctuate wildly. Kami would be evil if he didn't give a good warning. Naruto seemed serious then and there. We'll be careful. We'll be very careful. And I have a backup for if things get a little bad. Naruto gave his pocket a pat, showing that he was ready for the worst. Gine looked at the well-carved wood door. At most, the time chamber has enough supplies refilled daily for 2 people. Any more than that and you can't sustain yourselves. You can leave the training at any time if it gets too intense. Kami stated as he opened the door for them to walk through. They walked through the door. That closed behind them. Wow! 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 Gine was amazed when she saw the small living area, and outside of that she saw nothing but white. She felt a small rise in gravity, but it wasn't all that extreme. It was much harder to move with her weighted clothes on. Naruto jumped and flew out onto the white area, landing on the ground or something. Naruto charged up his ki. He formed a single ki blast in his right hand, before he flung it high above him. Crazy Shukaku. Naruto stared up at the ki blast. Before it stopped in midair, the yellow sphere paused. Before it started to shoot small ki lasers out of it that targeted Naruto himself. Naruto struggled to dodge his own attack, that with the lasers going every which way, making it harder to predict where they would attack from. The initial ki sphere that Naruto launched got smaller and smaller with each laser that it shot out. Right into training. Okay then. Gine smiled a little as she jumped towards the training area. Boom! Naruto got distracted by her, and got hit by a laser that exploded on contact. The explosion was small, but was damaging enough to make him bleed. He crossed his arms and blocked a punch from Gine, that knocked him back. He looked up as Crazy Shukaku shot out its final laser at him, so he flew backwards. He blocked a kick and a punch from Gine, before grabbing onto her and throwing her at the laser. It exploded on contact with her. She threw more punches at Naruto, and he kept his guard up and firm. He ducked underneath her strongest punch, and clapped his hands together. He pulled his hands apart and 7 ki spheres appeared out of his hands. Blinding Chome. One of the spheres exploded into a super loud flash of light. but it did its job and blinded Gine for a moment. Naruto scored a good hit across her cheek that knocked her back. He followed up by charging after her, and he closed his eyes when she could see him coming. The second sphere around him exploded in another blinding flash of light, and once that ended he opened his eyes once more and scored another hit. They kept training. The weighted clothes took a toll on their stamina, and after 20 minutes of training, they had to pause for a break. They were both battered and bruised from the training though, with Gine in just slightly better condition. "I'm done. I can't fight anymore today." Gine collapsed onto her back in the living area. Naruto sat down, out of breath, on the steps leading up to it. "The low air levels make this worse, since my body isn't used to it. And gravity training with new weighted clothes is even harder because of it. It will take a few days to recover and adjust before we can go at it again," Naruto thought to himself. The damage done to him lowered his ki output and levels, so he would need to recover anyway. Nope. Naruto jumped up and went back into the training area, going through fighting katas while Gine recovered her stamina. He slammed his fists together, before he formed a circle between them. He aimed it up at the sky, before shooting a ki beam through the circle in his hands. The beam curved and started to head back towards him. He broke off his formation, before he pulled his arm back and charged up another blast. Ha! Naruto shot the blast upwards and pushed back the beam he sent at himself earlier. Gine watched him, dead exhausted herself. He's already exhausted, and we haven't even got used to the area yet. He's really motivated. Gine smiled in appreciation, feeling motivated to continue even though she was exhausted herself. She rushed towards Naruto and engaged in more combat. They continued until they collapsed later. "Okay. Now I'm really done for the day." Gine was severely injured, just not fatally injured. She and Naruto were both in horrible condition now. She was gasping and sweating, and she could see a bath nearby. She smiled that she would have a way to keep herself clean at least. Naruto reached into his pocket, and pulled out a small bag of beans? Naruto emptied the bag onto the floor, and Gine counted 12 beans on the floor. Naruto picked up one of them and tossed it to her. He took one for himself, and ate it, chewing it up, before he swallowed it. It was like magic, because all of his injuries completely disappeared right away. Naruto stood up, covered in sweat but with his stamina fully restored. Gine's jaw dropped, before she followed up. Power. When the bean healed her, Gine felt her power get much stronger than before. She felt her healing gift her more power. Zenkai boost. So this is what that feels like. I've never experienced it before. Gine wasn't a fighter, and whenever she had been in danger, somebody saved her. This was the first time in her life that she had ever actually gotten a burst of power from healing. Her body felt a little lighter, like she was more adjusted to the area. She could breathe a little easier, and with all of her injuries healed she was feeling great. Better than before. Her stomach also felt full for some reason. Senzu beans. Heal all your injuries, restore your stamina and ki too. We're Saiyans. Pushing ourselves to the limit and getting severely injured, and then eating one of these. But I was only able to steal 12. I was only able to borrow 12. Naruto looked away with Gine raised an eyebrow at the word steal. He whistled to himself, since he only took them by sneaking in and getting a handful of beans. They each had 5 more beans to use, if they were to split them evenly. The first bean was just for when they pushed themselves on the first day, to help them get used to the area even faster. Amazing all the same. Maybe even I can get stronger now. And we're only been training for a few hours. Gine was actually excited by the prospect that her power could grow. Saiyans rarely ever survived long enough to get stronger via Zenkai boost, since when a Saiyan was severely injured, usually it wasn't long before they were killed after that. Equipment needed to train was only really given to mid-class warriors and high-class warriors. Basically, only 12 warriors of their species had access to good training, the 10 mid-class warriors and the 2 high-class warriors of the royal family. They were the only ones who would typically survive long enough to experience a Zenkai boost. Yeah, and we still have 364 days after today remaining. We need to save the Senzu beans for when we're more hurt, or when we've reached a limit. So we should save the others for later. We get 5 Zenkai boosts each. The rest of this will be spent growing stronger with hard work. Naruto didn't want to rely on boosts for anything other than allowing him to overcome a limit in how far into the chamber he could go, or to get a sudden rush of strength that could be used to train harder than before. Naruto could sense power, even if Gine couldn't at the moment. Her Zenkai boost was about. It was about a 75% increase in power for her. And I would say mine was about that much as well. She mentioned she didn't even have a power level of 300 earlier. So I would say that going by that math, she is about 500 and something right now. Naruto would guess that the closer to death somebody was, the greater the percentage in the boost was as well. Since they were both severely injured, but nowhere close to death, the Zenkai boost wasn't all that dramatic this time. Eventually, Zenkai boosts stopped providing power, but near the beginning they gave large boosts in strength, but they were also based on how strong you were. For weaker warriors, the boost in strength seemed to be smaller in comparison to a stronger warrior. Yeah. We need to get as strong as possible without relying on them near the beginning of this training. Once we make progress, we use a Zenkai boost to multiply the progress. Naruto kept training by himself, while Gine went to take a bath. He wasn't going to push himself too much further for the day, but training was helping him plan. The ideal would be to each use a senzu bean to heal from super severe injuries every 2 months now, and as they got stronger together, they would push each other to get even stronger by training. That would be the ideal, but training accidents were possible. He guessed the weighted clothes would become useless to the training after the 3rd week or 1st month were reached, and would have no effect on the training after that point. They already felt so much lighter after the first Zenkai boost. "Aren't you coming to take a bath?" Gine peeked her head out of the living area. Naruto looked at her. "I'm going to keep training until I'm exhausted again. I'll take one later," Naruto told her. "Oh poo. And here I wanted to wash your back. Let's put a rain check on that for now. I can still train, and now I'm more used to this area. I'm going to go deeper." Naruto flew deeper towards the void, where things would get harder for him. That was how the first day of real training went. A sparring partner made all the difference after all. Months. This is my limit. I haven't gotten stronger in weeks. Gine had improved over where she had been by leaps and bounds. She could sense ki now for starters, and she could even suppress her own ki to some degree. She was so much stronger than before that it was almost unbelievable that a low-class warrior, a meat prep worker at that, could as strong as she was now. If she put a number value to her strength, she would say that she had a power level of about 1800 now, maybe even up to 2000 if she was feeling generous. She didn't have a scouter to really judge her power via number, but she felt that she must have surpassed her eldest son by this point. Unless he had gotten a ton stronger than he had been when she had been first alive. "I'm going to sleep. I'm exhausted," Naruto told her, having just gotten done with his bath. Then there was his growth. "I'm slowing down his growth. He was improving even faster than I was. But since I hit my limit, I've been slowing down his growth." Gine waved to Naruto as he went towards the bed. He needed more sleep than she did, since he was still growing. She was surprised at how mature he was when it came to not pushing himself too far, and taking his own age into account. She smiled at him, and once she didn't see him, she frowned at herself. If she were a better training partner, she was sure that he would have gotten so much stronger than he was getting. As it stood, he was only about 3 times stronger than she was at the moment. That was an amazing amount, but the fact was that being that much stronger than her, meant he was holding himself back when he trained with her. His heart was gentle, and he just couldn't bring himself to go all out against her once the gap between them became too wide. Z's. HMPH. He sleeps well, and eats well. Gine was happy about that for a brief moment. Her smile formed, before it quickly fell. "Why am I so happy? I'm holding back my child from getting stronger. Ever since he started holding back, his growth has slowed dramatically." Gine couldn't believe that she was allowing herself to become happy with something simple, when she was also causing such a problem. She started to cry. Tears fell down her face, and she held in her muffled cries. She stood up, before she stormed her way towards the training area. "I'm holding him back from his potential," Gine thought as she charged up a ki blast and launched it into the unknown. She did that with one hand while charging another with her other hand. She threw her second ki blast, charging the third one. If he stopped getting stronger, it would be her fault. It was her fault his growth was slowing. Grr. Gine growled at herself, throwing her ki blasts faster than before. Was she the reason that Bardock was weaker too, because he kept having to save her all the time? Was her weakness the reason why Bardock wasn't able to defeat Frieza, because she had held him back for years? All of her allies were dead, most of her race were dead. Only her mate had truly figured out what Frieza planned to do. And not only did she hold him back from his potential, But she never even fought against Frieza with him. She had been a coward and stayed on the planet, holding that everything would turn out alright.
RRRR. And now. I'm doing it again. Gine was throwing all of her ki out into the unknown, wasting all of her energy as she felt her anger at herself get higher and higher. It didn't take her long before she exhausted her stores of energy. She collapsed to a knee, gasping in exhaustion. And I'm so weak. I can't even take out my anger. I hate this. Gine punched the ground with all of her power.
Her power flared for a moment. She punched the ground, and her ki flared around her again. I was too weak to be a warrior. Too weak to help Bardock get stronger, too weak to train with Raditz. And now I'm even holding back my sweet child. Gine punched the ground over and over again, gritting her teeth. She felt it. The second she came to the realization and admitted it, her rage, her anger with herself attacked her full force. She had never experienced anger before in her life, nothing more than annoyance. She was the target of her own anger, and it took her dying and coming back to life to realize some of her problems. Finally, it took 4 months of her training with her son, and holding him back before she realized the rest of it. HRRRRRR. Ha! Gine felt a sensation she had never felt before, as a heat ran through her body. Her eyes sparkled blue briefly, several times in time with her breaths. She was gasping with rage, because it was all hitting her. Frieza destroyed her home planet. She held Bardock back. She held Raditz back. She was holding Naruto back. She did nothing against Frieza. She was always weak, needing to get saved. She was useless, powerless, and in all of her life she had never been able to protect anyone with her own power. Gine stood up as the heat fueled her cells. She could feel every fiber of her being as hot as her rage. Her eyes turned fully light blue, and her ki shot out of her randomly, going from white and turning into a bright gold briefly. The power inside of her was bursting forth, wanting to get let out, but there was a dam stopping it from fully breaking free. Even now she was doing it. She was even holding herself back. H. Gine unleashed it all when her rage broke upon realizing that even as her power was growing, that she was holding herself back by trying to control her rage. Her white ki aura turned gold and stayed gold, her hair becoming even more wild, and going from black to gold. She roared at the top of her lungs, and she felt that her roar had been the key to unlocking and unleashing the rage inside of her. She was completely overcome by it. She started to calm down, but the power of her rage remained around her. She took many deep breaths, feeling so much stronger than she was before. You did it. Naruto jumped at her and hugged her, surprising her by knocking her off of her feet. She had been caught completely off guard. Wah! What? Gine was super happy to be hugged, but what was more was that she was shocked that Naruto seemed so excited about something. Naruto, what happened? Gine wasn't even sure what had happened to herself. You went Super Saiyan. That is what happened. Naruto was really excited, because despite being asleep, the second he felt her power starting to surge, he woke up and starting to watch what was happening. Huh? Me? What? Yes, you became a Super Saiyan. You're a pure-hearted Saiyan who had their heart overcome by rage. Come on. It's time to train. Naruto jumped off of her, raised his fists up to train. Now that she was so much stronger than he would be able to grow much faster in his own training. Unlike Gine, who had a truly pure heart and had never been overcome by rage, he was going to have to do things the harder way. After all, he was pure-hearted, but also had full control over his anger, meaning that the level he needed to be at before he could become a Super Saiyan was going to be a lot higher than the level that she was at. But there is only supposed to be one every 1,000 years. Peeved. Yeah right. How many pure-hearted Saiyans are there? Naruto scoffed at the legend, since he had knowledge on the process. Okay. The next day, they are about to come out, I can tell. Kami whispered as he stood in front of the door, waiting for Naruto and Gine to come out. He was curious about how strong they would grow, and if they would become strong enough to do what needed to be done. He gasped in shock when the door opened. They came out together, their clothes ripped on their bodies. But it was shocking to sense them. Gine had a golden aura around herself, her hair changed and her power having grown by leaps and bounds. She was not even recognizable as the same woman as before as far as power went, and then there was Naruto. He looked only slightly different, his clothes were ripped, and he had started a small growth spurt, but that was about the extent of his physical changes. What was more dramatic was his increase in power, which rivaled if not surpassed Gine's own increase in power. That was a good start to training. A great jump start. Thank you, Kami. We want to save the second day in the chamber for a later time. Naruto stated as he placed his hands together, and respectfully bowed to Kami. In the end, his plans needed to change, because once Gine reached Super Saiyan, he had to work his ass to the bone to keep up with her and reach her level. He spent 7 months of hard work reaching her, and then another full month to surpass her once more. He had used more senzu beans than Gine did during that time when the training got pushed, and during that time she got stronger as well. I see. You are welcome. And in the future, I hope all your endeavors succeed. Kami bowed respectfully to Naruto in return, only lowering his head. Yeah, me too. Naruto grinned at Gine as she powered down, and Kami looked at her when her power dropped so dramatically it was hard to imagine that she was still the same woman. Kami smiled and gulped, because now there was really nothing else he could do. King Piccolo wouldn't even be a challenge for either of them at this point. Puah. King Piccolo was getting his ass handed to him, and by a warrior of strength he could never even imagine as real. He had been released into the world, only for some black-haired brat to show up and start beating him down within an inch of his life. A brat with a wellspring of power that he had never even imagined possible. King Piccolo collapsed to the ground, holding his stomach that now had a fist-sized hole in it. Are you going to regenerate that, or am I just going to have to kill you? I will not die until I have restored my youth. King Piccolo shouted at his opponent. He got a kick to the shin for his efforts. Naruto had expected King Piccolo to hurry up and release an egg before this point. Naruto didn't want the Dragon Balls to go inert or for Kami to die, so he had gone into this fight planning to toy around with the Demon King long enough for the being to spit out the egg that would contain his spawn, Piccolo Jr., or Piccolo. Let's be honest. I still haven't used a fraction of what I'm capable of, so I'm just going to kill you now. Naruto created a key ball in his hand and pointed it at King Piccolo. He allowed it to grow slightly in the palm of his hand, aiming it inches away from the alien's face. You have seconds to pray to Kami, Naruto mocked. That did it. King Piccolo's neck bulged, and in an instant he vomited an egg into the distance, sending it far away from Naruto. He smirked at Naruto. I will have my revenge. He was wiped away by a ki blast. Okay, so now I've made sure that Piccolo has been born. Naruto would deal with the entire revenge aspect of that later, but since Piccolo had been born, that meant the Dragon Balls were still useful for the moment. Naruto flew off, heading towards the direction that he could sense Gine was in. The sky turned dark. Naruto raised an eyebrow when the skies showed the same darkness and feel of when Shenron was being summoned. Naruto even sensed Shenron had been summoned right next to Gine, so he had no idea what kind of wish that Gine was going to make from the dragon. She seemed like, other than Shenron, she was with Kami at the moment. With Gine, that was quite a wish. Kami deadpanned, having never seen somebody use a wish for that reason before. Your wish has been granted. I know. But my son is so focused on getting stronger and his big plans. It worries me as his mother. Gine apologized without saying the actual apology. Ever since she had met Naruto again, she had never seen him do the one thing that a boy his age should do. That worried her, and she wanted to help. Shenron vanished like he did after wishes, and there was a popping sound before a crashing sound. Ow. Ah. It seems the subject of your wish has arrived. Kami noted when he noticed somebody had fallen into the garden. Who are you people and where am I, with Naruto? I sense another person with decent strength appeared. Naruto deadpanned when he suddenly felt somebody just appear next to Kami and Gine, and the sky returned to normal. He could guess that whatever Gine wished for, it involved bringing a person to Earth. Well, there went the wish he had planned. He planned to find Bulma, ask her if she still wanted to use the wish to find a perfect boyfriend, and then abuse the shit out of the fact he had the Dragon Balls to get her to build a gravity chamber for him to train in. Now he would need to wait another year for that to happen. Though Bulma might not be happy to see him again. Last time he met her, it was only for a brief moment as he stole the Dragon Ball she had been studying to make the Dragon Ball radar. She had been one of the people he just stole the balls from after all, so she wasn't going to be too happy with him. Both power levels vanished after 10 minutes. Gine and the new person seemed to vanish, so Naruto could figure out what happened pretty quickly. By the time he arrived at the lookout, he saw Kami waiting for him with the tied-up Dragon Balls at his side, turned to stone. Where did they go, and what wish did she make? Naruto asked quickly. And was it the time chamber? Naruto asked, since that was where he thought they went. Neither were around, and he couldn't sense them anymore. He guessed that meant that whoever got summoned agreed to go into the time chamber with Gine. They did go in the time chamber, just moments ago. Your mother showed the Saiyan she brought here the Super Saiyan transformation, and asked if she wanted to learn it. Kami explained why they went into the time chamber. Naruto slapped his forehead. Gah, is she stupid? Naruto grabbed both sides of his head. If Gine spent another year in the chamber, then she wouldn't be able to use it in the future. You had a max of 2 years in the time chamber before you were trapped, and it hadn't been destroyed and remade yet that removed that limit. And it was Dend who removed the limit of how long you could stay in the first place. Dend hadn't even been born yet, and it was unknown if he would ever agree to come to Earth. Naruto had planned on having Gine save her second year for an emergency where they needed a huge boost in power. Who did she summon? Naruto asked Kami. Kami just shrugged. A Saiyan, without one of those tails. Okay, that doesn't help. Like at all. What did she wish for? Naruto asked with a sigh. What was done, and there was no use getting angry over it. He was sure that Gine just wanted to be helpful to the Saiyan she summoned. And Gine had reached her full potential already, so maybe her going into the time chamber wouldn't be too bad. I do think that. You will get angry if I tell you. What did she wish for? Naruto was now very curious about what Gine had wished for if Kami was hesitant to tell him about it. What did she wish for? Naruto walked up to Kami and stared him down, because now Kami was visibly very reluctant to tell Naruto the truth. He kept staring down the green man, staring directly into his very soul. What did my mother wish for Kami? Naruto didn't let the guy look away for even a second. Kami scratched his cheek, unsure of how to answer that question. You see, she was very worried. You're almost 16 years old now. 17 after the time chamber, and you've been so focused on getting stronger, and finding human fighters with potential. You've been very busy, so she wanted to help. Kami was trying his best to put it into words. Naruto crossed his arms and waited patiently. Okay, so this wish is something very stupid then. Naruto decided that he wasn't going to allow himself to get angry, no matter how stupid the wish was. On a scale from 1 to 10. How stupid is the wish? 9. A firm, solid 9. The hell? Naruto looked at the door to the time chamber. She wishes that bring, a good Saiyan woman my son can have a romantic date with, in those exact words. Kami watched as Naruto took a very deep breath. A breath deep enough that Naruto's entire torso expanded a little, before he released it all. He sat down and started to meditate. I'm going to sit here and train until they get out. Naruto was going to calm himself. He needed to keep himself calm, because that wish had been very stupid. Naruto closed his eyes and extended his senses. He couldn't use senjutsu. Not technically. Thankfully, Goku had told him about how the spirit bomb worked, and the concept was similar enough that he wanted to see if he could draw in the surrounding ki around him. It wasn't senjutsu, but maybe he could make his own new technique based on fusing the spirit bomb with his own experience with senjutsu. Nope, for some reason he could sense it, but he wasn't able to draw it towards himself from his sitting down, meditating position. He wondered if there was some other position he needed to take in order to draw in the ki he wanted to gather. Since he failed, he was just going to do some image training to increase his control over his ki and boost it up a little bit. In his mind, Naruto imagined a Super Saiyan version of himself across from him. That would be his opponent for his image training. I can't concentrate. That wish is all I can think about. Naruto couldn't even do image training, since Gine's wish was really bothering him. Did she really waste a wish just to get him a date? He fell asleep. Naruto was sleeping with his back against the wall, right next to the time chamber. Kami walked towards Naruto, since it was about time for Gine and the new Saiyan to come out of the chamber together. Naruto must have gotten bored of just waiting around for them to leave the chamber, which was funny because in the end he didn't do anything related to training. The door opened. Gine was the first to come out of the time chamber, and she came out in her Super Saiyan form. Only the blonde hair was lighter than before. Her power was almost exactly the same as before, but she seemed far more relaxed in her Super Saiyan state. as if she were consuming no ki or stamina to remain a Super Saiyan at all. Ah, there he is. A slim hand came out of the time chamber and grabbed Naruto by the back of the shirt, and Naruto woke up just in time to get dragged into the time chamber as the door slammed shut behind him. What? Gine wasn't that confused by what happened as she turned around, but she heard Naruto's shout of pure confusion as he got dragged. Just as it happened, she blinked a few times, before she looked at Kami and pointed at the door. Kami just stared at the door with a raised brow, since even he had not expected Naruto to get dragged into the time chamber. Inside the time chamber, no. I wanted to save the time chamber for an emergency. No. Naruto got thrown into the training area of the time chamber, just in time for him to realize that he was inside of it. Ha 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 ha. Your mother wished for a Saiyan for you to go on a date with. Well, I hope you have fun, because this is going to be the longest, sweatiest, most painful date of your life. A Saiyan woman shouted at the top of her lungs with a loud laugh. Short. Like, she was maybe 5 feet tall at most, with her hair making up the rest of her height. She was also on the skinny side, though she had a decent chest that she barely hid behind a pink tube top. And super baggy pants. She had huge, spiky black hair and sharp black eyes. But there was another thing about her that was huge. Besides her hair and her boobs, when compared to how skinny she was, and that was her power level. It was huge. She's almost half strong as mom when she turns into a Super Saiyan Great Ape. Naruto looked at the woman, and she was looking at him as well. Name is Khalifa. You must be Naruto. And man, you are way stronger than I was when I went into this awesome training place with your mother. Come on, let's get you up to snuff. Khalifa didn't hesitate to power up and rush towards Naruto. When she was in the middle of transforming into a Super Saiyan by the time she reached him. Can't we just have a normal date, dinner, see a movie, stuff like, ah shit. Nope. -11 months later for a date, it wasn't as much fun as one would expect a romantic evening to be, and Naruto was very upset that his second visit to the time chamber that he planned to save for an emergency got wasted on a date. WWWOOOOOAAAAAH. Khalifa charged towards him, her hair blazing gold as she collided with him. She had the widest grin on her face as she traded blows with Naruto, who had managed to not only catch up with her, but had surpassed her after months and months of getting beaten by her over, and over, and over again. Well, his fighting skills surpassed her. They were about even when it came to their raw power at this point, though he was behind her in that aspect. As it were, it had become the point where she now needed to use her Super Saiyan form in order to be a match for him. In the beginning even her base form had been more than enough, but now it was no contest between them on who had the better base form. Ha 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 ha. Come on, let's let this date go on even. Whoa. Khalifa ran out of stamina finally and her SS form faded away, with her collapsing onto her butt. She gasped for breath when exhaustion took over, while Naruto wiped the sweat from his brow. Naruto looked at the sweat on the back of his hand. Why? What is stopping me from becoming a Super Saiyan? Gine managed to do it as weak as she is, and Khalifa managed it too. Is there some kind of mental block I have that just is stopping me? Naruto wondered to himself as he gripped his fist tightly around his own sweat. He had no idea what was stopping him at this point. He was still capable of getting stronger, and he was still growing stronger. So why couldn't he go blonde at this point? Was it his rage? Because if so then that was a serious problem. Because he had no reason to be angry, and he wasn't able to force himself to be angry for no reason. He was growing stronger, so he didn't have any rage issues towards his own stagnating growth. Man, Super Saiyan sure takes a lot out of you. Khalifa grinned at Naruto, before she stood up again and dusted herself off. She gave him a slightly mocking grin, since she had only recently in her date with Naruto started getting stronger. Now that he had caught up with her as a training partner, her strength had begun to increase again. This date sure is fun. Yeah, for you. You ready I take it? Naruto could see that she was about ready to go once more. Yeah, I'm about ready. Naruto sighed when he got that answer from her, but Aur responded to her and got into position anyway. Khalifa screamed out and transformed again, and the training session had started up once more. And that was her idea of a fun date. Getting the snot kicked out of her, and kicking the shit out of somebody else. She was having the time of her life over the past month though once things really got kicked up to a different level. Come on, become a Super Saiyan. I want to fight you when you're at the next level already. Khalifa felt that if Naruto could push himself to the next level, She would have the ultimate goal to set herself towards. An impossible challenge that she could use to enhance her growth. Like how she trained against an out-of-control Super Saiyan ape Gine in order to push herself towards the limits of her own base form, bringing it to the point that all she needed was a little anger to push herself to becoming a Super Saiyan. Trust me. I wish it were that easy for me. Naruto deadpanned at her as they fought, trading numerous blows with each other. Naruto flipped backwards and slammed his hand into his chest, before 8 ki balls shot out of his back. Rampaging Gyuki. Naruto called out the attack, and the 8 ki blasts exploded behind him. He was launched forwards with ki surrounding his body as a barrier, and the extra force made his ki-coated punch land in the center of Khalifa's chest even harder than it normally would have. She was knocked right out of Super Saiyan. Ow! That one hurt. Khalifa held a hand up to stop the training as she coughed out blood. She was going to end the sparring for the day after that one. Wanna get out of here a month early. Naruto really wanted to have some time for emergency use, and now seemed like as good a time as any for him to call it off. Before, anytime he tried to leave the training early, Khalifa would block him and tell him to surpass her if he wanted to get out. Yes, she had pushed him to a great level. By forcing him to get his base form up to her Super Saiyan form, he had grown so much stronger, but it was at the cost of the potential training that he could achieve much later. Now, if he left the time chamber and trained, the results of his training would become so much less over time. He would also only have less than a month of time chamber training in the future. Yeah, I think this is good. Khalifa accepted his hand. Outside of the time chamber, there is my boy. And you've gotten a whole bunch stronger. I knew you just needed a good girlfriend to push you to a new D-level. Gine jumped onto her son with a hug when he came out of the chamber, and she could just sense how much stronger he had grown. Kami dropped his cane. He had not expected such an insane increase. We're going to have a talk about your wish later. Naruto deadpanned towards Gine, who just smiled at Khalifa as the woman left the chamber after Naruto, a laid-back grin on her face. Khalifa gave her a thumbs up. Yeah, I approve. That was a super fun date. I'll accept him as my boyfriend. Oh yeah. Naruto could not have been more sarcastic. Just what he needed in his life. A girlfriend who wanted to kick his ass. Chapter end. The chapter is end here. Now we are meet with another chapter, so don't forget to subscribe our channel.